Folks, most services that you can pay a professional to do for you, you can do yourself if you have the time, skills, and aptitudes to do the job, right? And tax relief services are no different, right? It's no different than you going to a restaurant and eating a fine meal that you could have bought the ingredients and cooked at home, right? It's no different than paying some buddy at Jiffy Lube to change your oil, or any of the services that we buy each and every day, from getting a McDonald's Big Mac or quarter pounder all the way to representing yourself in court, right? You can represent yourself if you want to, and you can do so competently if you know what you're doing, right? That's a pretty, high theoretical, but it's true. The same is true with tax relief services, and that is the nature of Leslie's question today. Leslie asks, does it look better to the IRS and the whole collection process to have a lawyer or a CPA or an EA represent you, or can lay people do OICs and CNCs and IAs by themselves, assuming, of course, they know what they're doing, i.e. they filed all returns, or current this year, etc.? Yes. Lay people, non-tax professionals, can do their own OICs and CNCs and IAs by themselves. Okay, people do it all the time. That said, especially when we're talking about offers and compromise, we have seen it over. Let me just pull one up. We have seen people try to do their own offers and compromise. They got rejected, and then they come to us. We get them accepted. Let's see if I can pull one up. Okay, so the first 2 pages here were, the self-submitted OIC. I'm not going to go through the headache of redacting all the things, but basically the numbers on the OIC didn't make sense that they submitted. But their whole thing they sent with the offer package was that this, the tax preparer, the individual submitting the OIC, had used an unethical tax preparer who had been arrested and sent to prison. And, therefore, for that reason, the IRS should, have mercy on him. And, well, that's, could be a special circumstance, right, that I would, we'd probably write, in our Dallas collectability offer and compromise. The numbers still have to make sense, right? You have to know how offer examiners, offer specialists think when they're reviewing an offer and compromise. And the only way you get that experience or that knowledge is by doing tons of offers and compromise, right? Or even if it's not an offer, you're on the phone with ACS or dealing with a revenue officer, right? How to present the information in a way that from experience will get the best possible resolution for the situation, right? And often that means, because our clients often have cash flow issues, getting that installment agreement monthly down as low as possible. Leslie says, I'm thinking, so, but look, people get successful resolutions by themselves all the time. Okay, I'm not going to tell you need a professional here. One thing to also keep in mind is, and this is generally for larger cases, and this is why we have tax attorneys on staff, or one of the reasons why, is that if you've gone, you try to cut a deal with the IRS administratively, right? Doesn't work out. You file a CDP hearing. Appeals officer, here's your case. You don't like what the appeals officer concluded. You could make a tax court petition, okay? That has real teeth to it if you have an attorney or a tax court, a CPA or an EA who has been admitted to practice in tax court. Those are rare. But, for sake of, apart from that, if you have an attorney, right, filing a tax court petition, willing to go to tax court, because then the IRS has to weigh the hazards of litigation. You submit a tax court petition, it'll often go to kind of a preliminary appeals officer, right, who will try to kind of make a last-ditch effort to work something out to avoid litigation, right? If you have an attorney in your corner, that's very helpful. And that's why a Choice Tax Relief, Greg Ibbotson, you can see his picture on here. He's been a tax attorney for decades. He actually runs the day-to-day of Choice Tax Relief tax resolution practice, okay? I provide a lot of oversight as well, but I brought Greg on board once we started growing. And one of the things that was attractive to me about Greg is, he has that tax court experience, right? That the IRS does have to weigh at that level. Okay. So, and, obviously you can represent yourself in tax court. Okay. So, But if you've never done it before, it might feel a little overwhelming. Second paragraph. I'm thinking particularly about people who owe less than $10,000. Your company and others I've seen don't work with clients who owe less. Wouldn't want people I know to go to some of the scammy companies just because they owe less than $10,000. Can they do it themselves? Yeah, they can do it themselves. I'd say you probably want to watch a ton of my videos. You'd probably want to look at the Internal Revenue Manual for yourself, right? When I go to this citation or that citation or show you the IRM on screen, you'd probably want to equip yourself with a heck of a lot of knowledge before diving into this head first. Now, obviously, look, if you're flush with cash and you know that you're not going to qualify for some hardship-based resolution like an offer in compromise, CNC, partial payment installment agreement, go negotiate some installment agreement with the IRS that works for you, right? I mean, if they're giving you trouble, then call us, okay? Yeah, so, look, there's a balance. I don't want to lead people down the wrong path and say, hey, do it yourself. And then they're like, I tried it myself and I shot myself in the foot because you said I could do it myself. But then on the other hand, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, yeah, you need an IRS to do it. I'm trying to draw a balance here, but like fundamentally, Leslie, the answer is yes. People can do these things themselves. Okay, they can, and if they owe less than $10,000, and like I've said in other videos, the reason why we don't really represent people who owe less than 10K is because the fees are just prohibitive, right? I mean, maybe because we generally don't work hourly, right? We work a flat fee. Okay, just in full disclosure. Maybe if they were working with someone on an hourly basis, some one man, one woman shop who just said, hey, look, I'll take your case for $200 an hour, and kind of bill it out that way. It's just we have too much volume to be doing hourly invoicing. Okay, it's just not something I'm interested in. So maybe that's kind of an option. Or yeah, just they can try to tackle it themselves. I'm not trying to educate the people out of my own business here, but it's true. People can do this themselves. And if you're trying to do this himself, or Leslie, if you have a client who's trying to do this on their own, feel free they can ask questions on my YouTube videos, on my, in the comments here. I have the tax relief subreddit on Reddit. I try to guide people through the process if they're trying to DIY it, right? If they're giving it the old college try, right? Which, for some people is the appropriate route to take. Anyway, I think I'm rambling at this point. It was a good question. If you are going to submit an offer in compromise on your own, though, you should know about the formulas and the guidelines for it. So I've linked to that video at the upper left-hand corner of the screen, linked to all my offer and compromise playlists on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. If you owe the IRS or your state at least $10,000 in back taxes, give us a call for a free consultation, 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-829. We're Choice Tax Relief. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.